Have you ever found yourself glued to a crime documentary, watching a psychologist dissect a suspect's motives or a lawyer questioning a witness's memory? It's captivating, isn't it? The human mind, especially when it intersects with the law, holds an endless fascination for us all. And often, in these compelling stories, terms like forensic psychologist and criminal psychologist are used almost interchangeably, as if they're one and the same. But today, we're going to gently pull back the curtain on these two vital fields. While both forensic psychology and criminal psychology apply the principles of the human mind to the legal system, they are distinct disciplines with different focuses, different questions, and ultimately different contributions. Understanding the nuances between them isn't just academic. It helps us appreciate the intricate ways psychology serves justice and illuminates the complex landscape of crime and behavior. So let's embark on this journey together, separating the fact from the fiction and truly grasping what each of these fascinating professions brings to the table. Let's start with forensic psychology. Imagine it as a broad, encompassing umbrella. Forensic psychology is a specialized area that applies psychological expertise across the entire spectrum of the legal system, and that includes both criminal and civil matters. It's not just about criminals, it's about anyone involved in a legal process. Think of a general practitioner for the legal system, handling a wide array of psychological ailments or needs within that specific context. What does this look like in practice? Well, a forensic psychologist might be asked to assess if a defendant is competent to stand trial, meaning do they understand the charges against them and can they assist in their own defense? They might evaluate an insanity defense, exploring a person's mental state at the time of an alleged crime. Their work often involves conducting risk assessments, trying to determine the likelihood of someone committing future dangerous acts, perhaps before parole or release. They delve into the reliability of eyewitness testimony, examining how stress or leading questions can distort memory. They might even be involved in very sensitive areas like child custody evaluations, helping courts make decisions that are truly in a child's best interest, or even assisting in jury selection by advising attorneys on juror biases. Beyond these direct legal applications, forensic psychology branches out into various subspecialties. You have police psychologists, who work with law enforcement on everything from officer wellness to hostage negotiations. There's investigative psychology, which can involve profiling, but it's a much broader field focused on applying psychological principles to investigations. Legal psychology explores fundamental questions about the law itself and how people interact with it, while correctional psychology focuses on psychological services within prisons and jails, dealing with rehabilitation, inmate well-being, and adjustment. As you can see, forensic psychology is incredibly diverse, touching almost every part of the legal world. Now, let's pivot to criminal psychology. If forensic psychology is the broad umbrella, criminal psychology is a much more specialized, sharper lens, focused almost exclusively on one thing: understanding the mind of the criminal. Its primary goal is to determine why crimes are committed. It seeks to delve into the thoughts, behaviors, intentions, and reactions of criminals and suspects. It's like a specialist detective, intently focused on dissecting the individual psychological blueprint of someone who commits a crime. What motivates a person to commit this specific act? Is it financial gain, revenge, anger, or perhaps the influence of a psychological disorder like psychopathy? They analyze behavioral patterns to understand crime typologies, looking for common threats in how different types of crimes are committed. They conduct psychological assessments of criminals, not necessarily for court competency, but to understand their psychological makeup and the underlying pathology that might drive their actions. This field also examines the environmental and sociocultural factors that might influence criminal behavior, and crucially studies recidivism, why people reoffend, and what effective rehabilitation truly entails. While criminal profiling is often the most popularized aspect, and certainly falls under criminal psychology, it's just one piece of a much larger, intricate puzzle aimed at deciphering the criminal mind. The roots of these fields stretch back further than you might imagine. Pioneers like Hugo Munsterberg and William Marston laid some of the earliest groundwork for applied psychology in legal contexts, particularly concerning the accuracy of eyewitness testimony and even early attempts at deception detection. In more modern times, figures like Elizabeth Loftus have become synonymous with groundbreaking research on eyewitness memory and the malleability of recollections, while Saul Kassin has shed critical light on the phenomenon of false confessions. These individuals and many others have continuously pushed for scientific rigor in forensic applications. On the criminal psychology side, early contributors included Cesare Lombroso, who, though many of his ideas on criminal anthropology have been largely debunked as pseudoscientific, ignited the scientific study of criminals. Later, behaviorists like Albert Bandura and B.F. Skinner provided crucial insights into how criminal behavior might be learned and reinforced through environmental factors. Today, respected professional organizations like the American Psychological Association and the American Academy of Forensic Psychology help guide these fields, ensuring ethical practices and supporting ongoing research. Now, it's no secret that the public's interest in these fields is immense, often fueled by captivating media portrayals. But this is precisely where the lines can blur, leading to common misconceptions. Many believe criminal profiling is a daily activity for most forensic psychologists, when in reality, it's a very specialized, often debated aspect, primarily within investigative psychology, a subfield that overlaps with criminal psychology's interests. This ongoing confusion highlights a very real need for clarity, especially when we consider the significant controversies these fields face. One of the most significant debates revolves around scientific validity and reliability. Take eyewitness testimony. It's often presented in court with immense weight, yet decades of research show how stress, leading questions, and the simple passage of time can severely distort memory. People believe what they saw, even if it's wrong. Then there's criminal profiling itself. Is it a rigorous science, or more of an art, or, as some critics argue, even a pseudoscience? Its effectiveness and reliability are still hotly debated in academic circles. Early techniques like the polygraph or lie detector remain controversial, with many questioning their true validity. We even saw this play out in the memory wars of the 1990s, concerning suggestive interview techniques and the potential for implanting entirely false memories. And it's not just historical debates. Recent news concerning issues with the accuracy of drug tests from labs used by child welfare agencies, for example, really underscores a persistent challenge: the lack of standardized evaluation tools and varying reliability of assessment protocols. Courts sometimes accept tools and testimonies without sufficient scientific scrutiny, which can have profound and devastating consequences for individuals and families.
Beyond scientific rigor, ethical dilemmas are paramount. Practitioners face constant challenges like role confusion, when their duty to the court might conflict with their duty to an individual. Maintaining objectivity is crucial, but can be incredibly difficult when facing pressure from legal stakeholders or grappling with their own cognitive biases. Ensuring data integrity is vital to prevent wrongful convictions, reminding us that lives hang in the balance. Ethical debates also arise around highly sensitive issues, such as evaluating a condemned inmate's competency for execution or addressing cultural bias and inequity in assessments, where cultural differences can be misinterpreted, and testing instruments are often normed on non-diverse populations, leading to unfair outcomes. Finally, these fields are deeply entwined with application and policy debates. Discussions continue regarding juvenile justice, particularly concerning criminal responsibility for young people, the impact of developmental trauma, and what truly effective intervention strategies look like. The complex link between mental illness and criminal behavior is an ongoing focus, aiming to dispel misconceptions, reduce stigma, and ensure appropriate treatment for justice-involved individuals, rather than simply incarceration. So, where do we go from here? The distinction between forensic and criminal psychology, while often blurred in popular culture, is quite clear. One is a broad application of psychology across the legal system, criminal and civil. The other is a focused, deep dive into the why of criminal behavior. Looking ahead, both fields face significant emerging questions. The impact of technology, for instance, is massive. How will AI-based surveillance psychologically affect offender rehabilitation and recidivism? And how might deepfake evidence influence juror trust and decision-making, challenging our very perception of truth in the courtroom? The ongoing debate surrounding scientific validity, the urgent need for standardization of assessment tools, a challenge highlighted by recent concerns over drug test accuracy, and the ethical imperatives, including developing greater cultural competency, will continue to be central to the development and practice of both forensic and criminal psychology. Addressing these challenges isn't just about academic progress. It's crucial for maintaining public trust and ensuring fair and just legal processes for everyone. By understanding these fields more clearly, we equip ourselves to ask better questions, demand higher standards, and ultimately contribute to a legal system that truly understands the human mind. Thank you for joining me on this exploration.